Well, hello everyone. My name's Rick Farron, and welcome in to another rockin' awesome night, as we say, up in the six screens. We have some live programming for you. Now, don't run off to the mountains. Stay here with us. If you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses, if you're a PIMQ, as Anne Marie would say, questioning the Watchtower, or a PMO, or even a PME, you're physically in, mentally in still, but you have a few doubts. Well, by all means, listen into our program tonight because we're exposing one of the most esoteric, evil organizations, in my way of thinking, on the planet. So don't go anywhere. Please stay with us. But we have a woman coming in from California. Her name is Anne Marie. Now, Anne Marie is a former Jehovah's Witness. She has been there. She understands what it's like to be in the Watchtower organization. So Anne Marie's program, Touched by the Tentacles of Tentacles of the Watchtower, starts right now. Hello, Anne Marie.
Hello, my brother Rick. How are you this six screen Saturday?
Well, if I told you I was doing excellent, would you believe it?
Yes, I don't know how you do it, but yeah, I believe it.
Oh, no, I have to say this. I don't know what it is, but on Saturday night, you get up Saturday morning, you're kind of dragging a little bit. It's the end of the week. Then I start writing the news. I was up early this morning, yesterday morning, writing the news, getting things ready for the program. And, kind of, makes you tired. But all of a sudden, it kicks in when I get on the air about 4:30, 4:45. Things really start kicking in here. I start feeling like a different man. It's like medicine for the soul, Anne-Marie.
I think it's because you're doing exactly what you have been called to do, and the angels are smiling, and you're getting the Holy Spirit in you, because I don't know how else you do it.
Well, yeah, no, it could be that. I mean, it does, but I really do. I don't know what it is. All of a sudden, I get this. It's like, well, you've got adrenaline rush before. I've met you. I've seen you when you had adrenaline rush. I can remember. I've seen you have adrenaline rush on 3 different occasions. I have. Yeah, when you came up here and visited us up here in Massachusetts, and I remember when we took you up to the Canterbury Village. That was another cult, the Shakers, right? Well, they had a village up here in New Hampshire, about 100 miles from where we live here. So we took Anne Marie, Susan, Anne Marie, and I went up to the Shaker Village. And I remember you got out of the car. It was a beautiful fall day. And I took a picture under a beautiful fall orange tree that was turning colors. You were on cloud 9, Anne Marie. Yeah. You remember that?
Yes, I was. And I thank you so much for that incredibly wonderful visit. And I remember Susan and I went into one of the private garages, if you will. I don't know what else it was, but they had like 4 or 5 of the old carriages from the 1800s. I mean, it was so incredible, and it was wonderful. Yeah. It was great. I kept asking God, keep me going, because I wasn't feeling well. And I kept saying, help me push through it. Don't let me get really sick until I get back home. It was the best visit ever, my brother. You and Susan are just so amazing.
Well, we enjoyed your company. And then I'll give you one more, then I'll let you get back to your program here. But I also saw you have another adrenaline rush. Now, that's when you came up and you went to the Witnesses Now for Jesus, right? Remember that? And that's when you came up that week. And I can still remember you. You were sitting off to the left. There wasn't many people sitting on the left side, but you had a sore foot or something. And you had your legs up on the chair. And you were so excited. You looked like you were ready to be beamed into the heavenly kingdom. It's unreal.
It was an incredible time. It really, really was. And I can never thank you and Susan enough for, making it happen, that I could be there and enjoy all of that. Thank you, my brother.
Well, you're very welcome. And I can see those little images left in my mind. All right. So we're going to get you doing your program. So what are you going to be talking about tonight, Anne-Marie?
Well, I don't know what anybody else would think, but things pop into my head at 3 a.m. I was thinking for the theme today, Touched by the Tentacles, how are you still touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower? Because I realize that I am still really touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower, and I've been reading Reddit, a lot of posting on the subreddit for XJWs, and I'm telling you, a lot of people are hitting on certain things, and it's just like, whoa, I remember that. Oh my God, I know what he's saying. Oh, yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, that's it. How are you still touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower?
Well, could I just jump in and kind of be the icebreaker? I was just mentioning,
Please.
yeah, no, in fact, I was just thinking this the other day, and I mean this, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to the program probably still feel the same way. I'm very overly conscientious, Anne Marie, very conscientious. I don't want to do anything that's going to, make God mad. I think sometimes it's a little overboard, even. But that's what the Watchtower does to you. They drill that into you. They make you so conscientious. Your conscience is always running a million miles an hour, always trying to make you feel guilty. That's hard to. Even Susan mentioned that she kind of felt that way too. But the longer you're away from it, the more you feel. God isn't walking around with a big stick, ready to whack you because you got out of line a little bit. I mean, I believe he's going to cut you a little slack. But in the Watchtower, Jehovah doesn't cut you slack, Anne Marie.
Well, my brother, that is one of the things on my list. May I take a moment to welcome everyone in on this Six Screen Saturday, this insanely beautiful and blessed Saturday where we get to once again enjoy the platform that our dear brother Rick Barron provides so faithfully. Today is April 7th, no, 6th, excuse me. My great-granddaughter is 4 years old today. It is April 6th, 2024, and once again, aren't we blessed to be on the six screens of the Watchtower for another Saturday. Thank you, my brother. Please keep talking. Please excuse my interruption.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that I still feel the residual effects of being touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower is in me. I'm overly conscientious, to make sure I try to stay in the speed limit. And I don't want people speeding anyways. I think it's good to do that. Put your seatbelt on. It's a good thing too. So I mean, in some respects, it's good having an overly worked conscience. But on the other hand, I have to say that the Watchtower, as we all know, is fear-based. So the more fear or guilt that they can put on you, for little things, it could be little things. Sometimes I would even feel that, gee, if I even said something in an inappropriate way to a person, not that I would ever swear or anything at them, but maybe I said, gee, maybe I didn't act right around that person. That would even make you feel guilty. But those feelings are starting to dissipate a little bit now, and you feel a lot better. But they made you feel, in fact, they used to, what really got to me in the Watchtower was this term, you would be blood guilty. And that's one.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be blood guilty if you didn't go on service. Jehovah could hold you responsible. You would be responsible for people dying, or if you didn't get good tires on your car and you got in an accident. I remember, in fact, it was a pioneer brother in the Kingdom Hall, and he's a poor brother, and all of the friends were helping him a little bit to try to keep his car up, but the tires weren't that good. So I can remember once he was talked to about it, that, if you don't have good tires on your car and you're pioneering for Jehovah and you get into an accident and somebody gets hurt, Jehovah could hold you blood guilty. I mean, that's the type of guilt that the Watchtower puts on people, Anne Marie,
No, I do remember. I remember one brother starting the Sunday talk, and he said from the podium, "Are you comfortable? Are you looking forward to life in the paradise earth? The lions and the tigers and bears, being with your brothers and sisters, not worrying about ever being sick or alone or worrying about crime ever again." And everybody's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he says, so imagine that you woke up tomorrow morning and Armageddon was over and you go out of your house and you're walking down the street and you see your dead neighbors on the street and you're looking at each body saying, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, there's that nice lady that worked at the bank who was always so nice to you. She's dead. I'm sorry. Oh, look, there's the nurse who works at your office." And he said, "Do you really think that you're doing enough in the ministry to reach people?" Go ahead.
I'm sorry, that's just a technical sound issue. Go ahead, Anne Marie.
Oh, I thought I always hope I can finish my thought, because if I don't, my brain goes completely off the railroad track. You all know that. Yeah, so I remember the blood guilty talk, and it just stuck with me. Like, no matter how many doors I knocked on or how many return visits I took myself on, because I literally would get dressed by myself, pack my book bag, take my address book, and go walking to a very dangerous neighborhood, I might add, because I had to make sure that I was serving Jehovah and finding the honest-hearted ones before it was too late. Blood guilt. That's a good one, my brother.
Yeah, well, I'm sure others have things that have residually stayed with them since they left the Watchtower. I mean, many things. And maybe people would do, well, you take care of the program and we'll see who will call in and tell you. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Rick. You are such a wonderful host. I want to thank everyone who is listening, and for everyone who is listening on the archives. And today we are basically looking at the theme, how are you still touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower? Personally, I've been out, it'll be 38 years in June. And I realized just last night, middle of the night, that I to this day cannot start reading any kind of Watchtower literature, because I guess, I don't know if I have an addictive personality, or I think it's that the programming is so deep, because I was what you would call, or I call, a Nazi Jehovah's Witness. I was black and white, right or wrong, no gray area, and determined to be the best Jehovah's Witness I could be. And I was a nutcase, totally programmed Watchtower drone. And I realized I can't even listen to a talk. I was listening to Kim and Mike. Totally programmed Watchtower. I thought someone was talking. I was listening to Kim and Mikey, and they were playing a short talk given by a brother. And right now, I can't even remember what it was about, but I could feel myself there in a seat at the assembly hall, listening to the brother, looking at my children to make sure they were listening, ready to look up the scriptures. It was like I was mentally and emotionally there. Scared me. That scared me. And I've been doing research on the Watchtower, my God, since 2000. That's almost 24 years. And that's a scary thing to realize, that I still have that programming. Anybody want to comment before I continue?
Yes, Mary Ann.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Who this is?
No, but you sure do sound familiar, and I'm not going to pretend that.
Ex-husband. It's your ex-husband. We had 3 kids together. I'm kidding. No, it's King of the Dogs. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, I know who you are. The one with the intelligent.
Yeah, I couldn't help but remember the shenanigans that Watchtower would pull. Almost deliberate, I thought. They come out, we're baptized over 20 years, and they say, did you officially resign from your church? If you've not, then you probably are not experiencing Jehovah's blessing. So I think I related this before. We went and we called up the Catholic Church. We sent them a letter, and they sent us the letter back and said, the Catholic baptism is eternal. You're still a Catholic. We're not going to remove you from the rolls. And we thought, oh, God, what are we going to do? The Catholic Church won't let us go. And then they did the vasectomy thing. There were several elders who had vasectomy.
Oh, my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, I remember everything. You know, I pray every day, God, do not let me forget one single thing. And one circuit overseer comes in. There's nothing to fit, but they flip-flopped on the vasectomies. He comes in on the platform. There's a couple elders I know had vasectomies. One had 9 kids. Anyway, and says, this is severe mutilation of flesh, and anybody who has a vasectomy needs to be disfellowshipped. And it's like, what the hell? You throw that in. You know, this is the thing. You don't know 90% about what they actually teach until you're in for like 15 or 20 years. Then they throw this crap out. You talk about these guilt trips. It's just appalling. And that's basically my thought. And I could think of more, but guess what? I'm too disturbed. They disturbed.
Yeah, like I said.
Hey, go ahead. You can ask me a question if you want. You want to ask me a question? I will tell you about the 3 kids you had by your ex-husband, if you want. You want me to tell you? No.
Whatever floats your boat, my brother, you go ahead. This show is for you. Go ahead.
Ask me a question.
I'm afraid that you already seem to have all the answers.
Well, yeah, I am a know-it-all. In fact, I'm trying to catch up with Rick. Is what I'm doing. I'm working on it, no?
Keep trying, darling.
Hey, King of Doc?
I will make it. What? Yeah, who am I talking to now? Is this Rick?
Hey, this is Chewy.
Chewy?
Yeah. I got a question for you. I was thinking about this. I was born in the 60s. My parents had 5 Armageddon cars. When I was born, they had their first one, and they went through 5 of them. 5 Armageddon cars. I remember growing up, everyone was going to be their last Armageddon car. And guess what? I'm still driving the last one 23 years after they bought it.
Well, I can assure you that before I came in Watchtower, I had 5 Armageddon cars too. Okay. Yeah. You don't know how many cars I totaled. Okay. I was a madman. The highways. It's a miracle I'm alive. I was just talking to my brother Rick, who he was in Watchtower for 4 years, so he doesn't really understand what's going on. And we all had major car wrecks, and we all survived. And it's like, there must be a reason. It's because God wants me on 6 screens. That's what it is. That's my high purpose in life, to be on 6 screens. And so
I'm so happy we have it. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much. And I may try to call back later, but I'm going to try to watch some basketball games, I like competitive sports because, I like people being injured permanently, their lives destroyed, their brains being turned into mush. And I want Watchtower to know I like it. I like it like that a lot. Okay, we'll talk to you later, Anne Marie.
Well, King of Dogs.
Why?
Okay, Chewy, did you want to say anything else?
Oh, I was just saying. Oh, that I was thinking about that. All those Armageddon cars. I had to laugh about that this afternoon. I couldn't believe it. My poor mom and dad. They've had 5 Armageddon cars, and I'm sitting here driving. I'm sitting here driving their last one, and my wife has got the better car.
Oh, well, thank you for verifying that point. Yeah, the Watchtower did work hard to keep us on high alert, didn't they? The end was always
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, but it is.
Well,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead, dear.
Oh, it's just good. It's really good to be alive today, Anne Marie. There's all sorts of things. I tell you one thing that is really affecting my wife. It
What's
really
that?
is. And I think, and I know we're going to see more of this. I commented before on this one sister that she said, I asked her, she was over the other day. I won't tell you why she come over. But she was born in, and her mom told her that, you're not going to graduate. She was told you'll never get your driver's license, and she's 73 years old, and she used to change my diapers. Doesn't have any place to live. Okay, she's renting. Okay, she's making $1,000 a month. Okay, because she wrote on her shirt tails, on her mom's shirt tails, and I called her twice. I called her once last week, and I called her 2 weeks before. I do a welfare check. Both times she was crying. She broke down and she cried. The last time, this is what she said. And I went, oh my goodness. And my wife was listening to it. I had it on my speakerphone. This is what she said. She said, I guess my mother taught me wrong. I need to learn how to take care of myself better than I have been. She's 73 years old.
Oh, Chewy, that is heartbreaking. And how many hundreds of thousands are, if they're still alive, are walking around? Like one Reddit person said, and it just sticks in my mind. She said they walk around and their souls are hollow, like their eyes are hollow.
Yeah, that's exactly that. She broke down. She broke down. She just, when I saw her, and we're going to see more of that. We're going to see more. I understand why they look like zombies when I see them in Walmart. I understand that.
Yeah.
But, this is going to be worse than 75. But for one thing, it's not going to have a date on it. But the results are going to be worse. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right.
We're seeing
I think you're right. Yeah. Because I saw a Zoom video because my JW son and my daughter-in-law are doing everything they can to look out for my JW mother, and I am very grateful for that. And I was invited to participate in a Zoom family conference. And for the first time in many years, I saw my two brothers. And it was weird that my older JW brother, who still lives with his foster parents, he looks relatively the same, young, but he's never been married, never had a girlfriend, never had children, never lived alone, never had a house payment or a car payment, never learned to drive. But my younger brother, my baby brother, looks absolutely like a shrunken, ashen replica of his old self. The kid that was always such a goofball that I remember, he looked old and tired and just like he had nothing left. And, he made a statement about, well, we just have to keep on pushing forward and try to concentrate on spiritual things. And you know what spiritual things is? Euphemistic code for Watchtower programming.
Right. Yeah. But but it's getting to my wife. She's seen it. She has brought it up. She has brought it up 2 times in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And she left the house. We invited her over. I called her on Tuesday. We invited her over. On Wednesday, she come over, and she looked hollow. And my wife fixed a meal for her. I fixed a little sugar-free stuff for her. I do the sugar-free stuff too, so we did some of that. She really enjoyed it. But man, to go back to an empty house, 73 years going back to an empty house.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. That's getting to my wife. It really is.
Well, it sounds like your wife is in the early stages of being PIMQ, physically and mentally she's questioning. Right. Because your wife, from what you have said, is she's seeing some things, because you said she's made a comment here and there, like about, kids need their education and other things. She's seeing it. That's not a PME. That's somebody who's seeing things, and some things trouble her. There's an in-between stage from being completely mentally in and completely mentally out. There's a segue. There's a slow processing. Sometimes it's quick. Sometimes it's years. But PIMQ stage, it's scary to me because you're kind of in the middle. You're vacillating and you're scared because the programming of Watchtower, like any cult, is when you start to question in any way, even on a subconscious level, when you start to question anything about the programming of the cult, the part of the programming tells you, oh, that's Satan. Something's wrong with you. You need to get back and get right, So I applaud you for supporting your wife.
Right. Well, the thing about it is, too, is 2 weeks ago we had a conversation about this same thing. She made a comment. We were just laying there in the bed, just talking. And I said, you know where Gayla got her information from? Oh, I'm sorry, I said her name. Shouldn't have said her name. Anyway, I said, you know where so-and-so got her name or got her information from? I said, she got it from her mom. I said, the same thing as same place I got my information, Mom. And my mom and her mom are real good friends. And then I mentioned another family that were real good friends, and that's where their kids got. And they said the same thing, that they wouldn't graduate. Their moms told them the same thing, they wouldn't graduate the whole high school. And she was looking at me. I said, and where did all three of those moms get their information from? And then her eyes got big a little bit. And boy, she changed it. She changed the conversation. I had her there for a little bit. I had her going. But we were back to square one, you know, in 20 minutes, we were like nothing ever happened. We were good, you know? So I got in and out of there, made my point, and we slept hugging one another in the night. So we're good.
Good for you, Chewy. Less is more, less is more. You just want to water that little orchid just a little bit. You know, even way back when I was 13, I remember during a break at the district convention, I was talking to a sister that knew me and hadn't seen me in a while, and she asked me, you know, what I was going to do when I got older, and I told her I wanted to be a teacher, and it was the only time I ever told a JW that I wanted to be a teacher, which of course means school, high school, college, have to get a degree. And she looked at me and she goes, "What are you talking about? You're never going to be a teacher. You're not even going to be in this system long enough to do this and that." And I'm like, I just looked at her like, what do you know, like, don't take away all of my dreams, even though, of course, I believed in the Watchtower's 1975 Armageddon prophecy, and it was only 1968, and, you know, only had a little time left. And she takes out this Awake, May 22nd, 1969 Awake. And she turns to the article where it talks about young people have to face the fact. That's verbatim, that they will never complete any career or grow old in this system and all that. And she just, you know what? I listened. I believed everything Watchtower said. So what am I now? Never had a career, never had the education, don't have a pension. It's just Watchtower stole so much, but all they cared about was keeping us captive, making us keep birthing calves and getting those things sucking on our teeth to get all the milk out of us they could, which is money, euphemistic for money. And they didn't care what they were doing to our mental health, our physical health, or our future. Just took us for every dime, dollar, and bit of property they could get out of us, not to mention free labor. And you know why? This is why I'm so grateful to Rick, that he is doing everything he can to expose the Watchtower cult, the tyrannical dictatorship cult, for what Watchtower truly is, an evil, maniacal cult. Hello,
this is Donald from Texas here.
Hi, Donald from Texas.
Hey, good. How are you? I agree with you 100%. Even though I was never a JW, just watching the organization grab for money like they're doing, like this Norway thing, you know, they tell the witnesses, "Oh, it's Satan, it's Satan, it's Satan, it's Satan, everything is Satan, 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 Satan." But then, what does Watchtower do? "Mr. Satan, can you please give me my money? Please, 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 please." It's like they're standing there with their hands out, the Satan, wanting his money, while they're telling the witnesses, "Don't get a job, don't get a career, don't go to college. Give us everything you are, give us everything you have, and when you die, make sure you give us everything you have after that," and so on.
And what's really funny is that not a one of them know how to wear a beard when they get on camera. Not a one of them know how to wear it. They look like
I'm legally blind, so I can't see the beards, but
it's horrible. It's horrible, sir. It's horrible. It's horrible.
I guess they haven't learned to get a trimmer yet.
Yeah. Mark Sanderson, you know, to be honest with you, I'm an apostate, and I would have been offended if he would have got on the stage with that crap.
But answer me this question. This is about the dress code. Okay, they say that women can wear pants. Okay, that's fine. But when they're up on stage giving a presentation, and you know, and I've been to the Kingdom Halls before, and the presentations that I have seen were the sisters we're demonstrating the door-to-door thing, right? So they're demonstrating on talking to someone at the door. Why is it that because they're on stage, a few feet from the seats, they have to wear a dress or a skirt, but when they come to the meeting, join the meeting regularly, they can wear pants? What's up with that one?
I'll give you a visual movie to go with your vision impairment. There are some men that like to see a lady in a good pair of high heels and a skirt. And so I'm thinking that maybe those brothers made up that rule so that they could still be grooving on the shoes.
Okay.
And I think that it would be more modest if the ladies could wear the slacks on stage. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, if they can wear them to the Kingdom Hall, but yet if they have a part, they have to wear a skirt. See, that don't. I don't understand that one. I mean, either you can wear a pants or not. I mean, why do they have to wear a skirt?
I guess the skirt's
just because
a little
they're
bit
up higher on
dressier.
stage.
It's dressier, like if you were going to court, a gentleman would wear a tie and a suit. A lady might wear a skirt and heels if you're going to a more formal situation.
Yeah, but they're in the same Kingdom Hall that they sit in the rest of the week.
I agree with you. I agree 100%.
I mean, okay, so you're a few feet away from the seats. So the distance you are from this determines whether you have on a skirt or a dress or pants.
Again, I think it's a voyeuristic brother.
Is Anne Marie there?
I'm right here.
Hey, Anne Marie.
I wanted to call about
one little comment. Can I do one little comment? And I'm going to drop off. Anne Marie, you know that video that you said that you were watching, that broadcasting that you said that made you feel uneasy? When that came on that Mikey? That was a culty one. That bothered me too. Watching Harold Corkin on there, that gave me the chills. And I used to sit by him at the table there. That said, okay, I'm done. But that sent goosebumps down my spine, like he was reading from something or something. He wasn't all himself there. But anyway, that's all I got on that.
Well, I just remembered what video they were showing. It just now popped into my head. It was about how to have the proper place for your family, that your family, no matter who it is that you love, your mate, your children, your mother, your father, your family is always second place next to serving Jehovah. Of course, that means AKA the organization. But it scared me because when I heard the title, I went, no way could they get away with presenting something like that. But as I listened to the talk, I not only found myself saying, well, that does make sense. Yeah, of course. And then they read that scripture where Jesus said, if anyone loves father or mother more than me, or has greater affection for father and mother more than me, he is not worthy of me. And anyone that has greater affection for son or daughter. And they use that scripture. Even Jesus said, blah, blah, blah. And I'm literally seeing myself like I was hypnotized, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, sitting in the seat in the assembly hall, nodding my head in agreement, making sure my children are paying attention. That scared the holy bejesus out of me.
But have they ever remembered the scripture or the part where Jesus raised Lazarus? And there's one part in there that says, and Jesus wept. He cried. Yeah. He cried because he loved Lazarus. Yeah. And of course, the other people there did too. But I think what Jesus meant by loving your mother or father more than me, I don't think he meant that you shouldn't love them at all or anything like that. But I think he meant that you should love him more than everybody else. Put him where he should be. But he didn't say don't love your family. I mean,
no, I didn't say that. And it was made very clear that God, Jehovah, AKA the organization, always comes first. And if your family, any member of your family, no matter how much you love them, no matter who they are, they must take second place to serving Jehovah, loving Jehovah, and so on. If it ever came down to which is reinforcing the heavy-duty shunning policy. I would like us to please let Pixie speak because she wanted to speak and she's been waiting.
Am I still on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you just fine.
Okay,
please
good. I was going to say that even in the 1950s, even in conservative Christian households, women were often sent as young students to college to be teachers or nurses because they didn't know what their marriage might bring later. And it's always been shocking to me that the Watchtower was even more conservative than that, because that was standard in the 1950s, before the Viet era, which was such a crisis to the kitchen table and the family and the young men, and the roles of women changed and had to. But it was considered like if you could get in a time machine and go back to 1952, and you were in a nice neighborhood of middle-class people, not rich people, the daughters might want to be a teacher or a nurse. And I don't think that a lot of younger people today have that knowledge that this is something women have done for a long time. And it pays well, and there's retirement for teachers, and there's good salaries for nurses. So it's not like it was some kind of, second-tier feminism or anything. It was very solid for a woman to do that.
Well said, my sister. Very good point.
I mean, I think it's great we can all be astronauts now, but, just kind of give it a perspective, right? I know. If I had to do over, I'd do physics and be at NASA, right?
Oh, my God. For real. I'd like to see what your spunky mother would have done if she hadn't been caught up in Watchtower.
I think she would have been at NASA, too. She loved all that space stuff.
Absolutely. Anybody else like to comment?
Yeah, is it okay if I can have a comment?
Oh, of course, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been listening to the show a while now. Sorry?
What's the name?
It's Graham Scholes. I'm from Yorkshire, England. And I just like to have a bit of an input, just contribute to the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Obviously, you touched on a various few subjects, but just mentioning about, obviously we're saying about, people wanting to, careers, choosing a career path. So obviously, at the moment, it might not be obvious to you guys, but in England, there's a bit of a shortage, doctors and nurses. And the NHS, the National Health Service, is struggling at the moment. So, for people to go to university and take the time out and do all the studying and preparation to be able to become qualified nurses and doctors, it's a godsend. These people save lives. I mean, I got blood poisoning and I was in a coma for a week, and then I was on critical ICU units for a further week. And if it weren't for that doctor, them nurses, and obviously medical science, they saved my life or prolonged my life, and much in debt to these people. But then, obviously, when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're discouraged to go to university and become a doctor or a nurse. But yet, these people that are Jehovah's Witnesses will go to the doctors for help. And I've always had a problem with that. So growing up, it's like cognitive dissonance kicking in. We pray to Jehovah all the time, every single day. I mean, as a child, I used to pray day and night, just about, I never asked for personal gain, but I used to pray for world peace and, hope for, Armageddon comes soon and the paradise and all that sort of stuff. So I knew that you couldn't really pray for personal gain because that would be selfish. And that's obviously one of the traits of the devil, selfishness. And obviously Jesus taught us to be unselfish and give to the poor and all that sort of stuff. But on the same page, I'd be praying to God for help and assistance on a daily basis. And then any issue, I'd be going to the doctors. If I got flu or any sort of illness, vaccinations. I just didn't really kick in at the time, thinking that these people, what the Jehovah's Witnesses really preach against, I'm going there for help, and it's not God at all. God's got nothing to do with that process. And it's again, if you need assistance at home when you get broken in by a thief, or you ring the police, you don't pray to Jehovah, because Jehovah, is not going to do anything. It's the police that does it. And again, the Watchtower preaches hatred against the local authorities. They're the devil and stuff like that. So it would just kind of, it's hard to get your head around it. And obviously it's that brainwashing. You think, and then obviously the funny thing about it is when I got septicemia and ended up in a coma, obviously my current family that were Jehovah's Witnesses at the time, and people in the congregation were praying for me. And when I survived, the people in the congregation were going, "Oh, Jehovah's helped you, and it's got you through this." And at the time, I thought, yeah, it was God. But then when I reflected on it, it was like, actually, no. If people didn't pray, I'd have survived it anyway. It's just because they're equating things, good things, to God, and they equate bad things to Satan. So if I had died, then what? It'd have been, it's just how it things. It's unforeseen occurrence and all this sort of stuff. But because I survived, it's God. But if God really protected me, He wouldn't have let me get ill in the first place. Prevention's better than the cure. So, yeah, I just think it's like, they just, all they want to promote is like joiners, electricians. And it didn't really kick in at the time that, it's for building properties. It's, then they've got free labor to build properties. But yet, these buildings they build, they don't do anything for the community. It's like through COVID, the Watchtower, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they were nowhere to be seen. The Kingdom Halls were closed, and the main source of help and assistance were from the government. The local governments. They were giving out money. All the key workers were risking their lives every day. Jehovah's Witnesses didn't help in any way. In fact, religion didn't. Although some churches, some like Catholic churches and other denominations of Christianity, they opened their church and had food banks and stuff. But the Jehovah's Witnesses didn't even do that. So, yeah. Sorry for rattling on a bit, but
No, you're saying everything that is absolutely true. I've often said if a Jehovah's Witness was dying of starvation, Watchtower wouldn't even buy them a loaf of bread. And I don't mean that in a mean, sarcastic way.
No, it's true. And do you know the other aspect? I don't know whether you heard of this one little girl. She's on the website, on the jw.org. She's called Felicity Sneesby. I don't know. Are you familiar with that name?
No, I'm not.
Wow, this is amazing, right? So if you go on jw.org, type in Felicity Sneesby. I know it's a bit of a funny name, but she is a little girl from Australia. She was born with a heart condition. Now, they had to move to America, and I'm tipping because of the blood issue. I didn't think they could find a surgeon that would do the operation she needed without blood. So they went to the United States, and they managed to find somebody that they do the operation. So she had numerous operations because she had this rare heart condition, and she wasn't given long to live. Anyway, the Watchtower used her as propaganda. They did a piece on the monthly broadcast, and this is going back a few years now. And they did a little piece saying, "Look at Felicity. She's got a heart condition, but yet she's going out and doing 70 hours a month preaching. She goes to all the meetings." And then they interviewed the mum and dad, and they're really positive. "Oh yeah, we knew that Jehovah would help us, and oh, it's amazing, and all this and all that sort of stuff." Anyway, unfortunately, sad end to the story. She didn't end up dying. Now, when she was in America, obviously she's from Australia, and all her family's back in Australia. She was in America for the treatment. Now, when she got poorly, she was still on life support in America, and her dying wish was to go back to Australia. Now, it would have costed $190,000 for a medical flight back home to Australia. And the Watchtower never coughed up the money. Now, what happened is, if you go on... So, first of all, I recommend any of your viewers to see this, because a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses do not know about this experience. So, first of all, go on jw.org, look at Felicity Sneesby, find the broadcast, watch the video. It's all about propaganda of this girl. She's got a heart condition. She does 70 hours a month preaching, blah, 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 blah. All the usual Watchtower thing. Seeing her in the meetings and stuff like that, and then nothing. And then you go on YouTube, type in Felicity Sneesby, the news article in America, and it's NBC News or something like that. They do a news article saying, "Oh, this young girl, spiritual young girl, she's dying in hospital." And they just cover the story, that she's, a churchgoer and all that. They didn't say, that she was a Jehovah's Witness, who said, like, church. And they interviewed the mum, and the mum was crying, oh, she's never going to wear high heels, and she's never going to get married. And I'm thinking to myself, what about the paradise they always believe in, you know? She were acting as though she's never going to be able to do things, but yet they believe in that second chance of the paradise after, you know, when you die, resurrection. But anyway, I understand that because it's that cognitive dissonance kicking in again, she's crying for the baby, which is understandable, which is natural, which it should be. But she's also, what about the hope? You know, you should really have that. If you're confident that you're going to be born again or resurrected, should I say, you won't be as worried. Now, so this news article, which is amazing, really, they cover this incident, and so she's all wired up to the ventilators and stuff, and the filmers, and she goes, please pray for me. And she's telling, you know, she's like, obviously asking the audience to pray for her. Anyway, a friend of the family opened up, do you know, like those GoFundMe pages? So in the end, they got $290,000 from donations from GoFundMe, and which was more than enough for the flight. So basically, looking at that, dissecting that, Watchtower never paid for that flight. The Watchtower could have paid it out of spare money. You know, it would have been nothing to them, right? Also, even if they didn't want to go into their bank vault out of the Watchtower bank money, they could have done a broadcast, you know, following up the update on the previous broadcast saying, look, Felicity Steesby is now critical in hospital and she wants to go home. Let's do a fundraising. You know, like Stephen Lett used to say, there's more money going out, coming in. You know, he could have got that money there and then. You know, every Jehovah's Witness donated £5 or something. They'd have got the money and plus, and then they could have put the rest in the in the banks. They could have paid for that flight. Also, they probably haven't even paid, obviously, the medical. I mean, how much would it cost for the surgery and stuff like that? Who's paid for that? Watchtower certainly haven't. But yeah, it came down to Satan's world. You know, Satan's world that helped her in the end. You know, first of all, with the medical, you know, the doctors helping her, you know, with all the surgery to keep prolonging her life. Second of all, people donating money, random strangers, you know, watching the TV news article, donated $300,000 to get her home for a dying wish. And I thought, Watchtower could have made that as a like, if they'd have paid for that, it'd have made them look good. But they don't want to do it because if they do that once, they'll have to do it to everybody and they'll be bankrupt straight away. Because
Watchtower is evil to the core on that.
Yeah. But Jesus. Yeah, go.
To make the little girl suffer like that. I mean, okay, yeah, she had the world help her with the heart condition, which tells me, even though I've never been a witness, which tells me that that organization is not operated by God, has never been operated by God, and never will be operated by God, because if they were, they would use their money to save someone's life. But instead, what they're using their money for is, we need to build Ramapo. We need to build these big studios. We need to build these big fancy.
I've just been to the Vatican, and I looked at the Vatican, and the majestic building there it's like the god of all churches. It's huge. Sistine Chapel, you know, Michelangelo, restaurant painter, painted all the Bible pictures and stuff. And I thought the money and time gone into this building, and I bet local people at the time, 500, 1,000 years ago, they'd have been starving. They'd have been in wooden huts and stuff like that. So it's always been the same religion, you know, they're putting all this money into property. I mean, I spoke to Jehovah's Witnesses at the cars and says, what's the point of buildings? We spend our money on buildings and convention halls and branch offices and all. I said, what's the point? They're just pointless. It doesn't help feed people. I said, it's not. He says, we need buildings. I said, no, you don't. You don't need building. That's just a thing that Watchtower drilled into your head, because what the Kingdom Halls are like money-making machines. First of all, they get free labour to build it. They get the local people to put donuts. When I didn't give you my background, but I was a Jehovah's Witness for 30 years. I'm 45 now, so I've been out 10 years. But I helped renovate the local Kingdom Hall, and we put his own money, his own time. Watchtower didn't put a penny to it. And that was the time before we actually owned. We had the deeds to the Kingdom Hall at that point. But when Watchtower took the deeds to the Kingdom Hall offers, they also emptied his bank account out. We had about 20 to 30 grand. You know, our money, really. It's mine. It's not the Watchtower's. It was ours. They seized over it. and they took it off us, right? And it went back to America because it just goes back to America. So every Kingdom Hall that's ever built anywhere, they expect you to donate regular. They've also owned the land. It's been built for free. It's been paid for free, and it's a regular donating machine. So you get constant dollars going back to wherever it goes, and it never goes to the poor.
I hear you, Brother Yorkshire. I hear you. And my dad helped build one. He helped build a Kingdom Hall near me here, and he's been gone 20 years now. But he built that Kingdom Hall when he was a young man with others, and the Watchtower came in and had some kind of other contract, and under his breath he says, but we built it and it's paid for. They're doing this around the world.
Do you like a franchise? It's like McDonald's, it's a franchise. So if really, that Kingdom Hall should have been mine. I should have owned a percentage of what I put into it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's the Watchtower came under and we just signed it over, boom, we got it. Take it off us. But like I say, it's a money-making machine. But if you look at Jesus' teachings, it says, give to the poor, equalize the money. And so Watchtower twisted that scripture saying, like Stephen Lett, when he tried to do the cash grab, he went, oh, we need to equalize. So a congregation in Africa somewhere, they can't afford to pay their Kingdom Hall off. So this Kingdom Hall from where I am, Yorkshire, take that money that you've got, a surplus in that bank, will pay off their debt, right? Now, that's all well and good, but it's just a building. What that scripture, what I mentioned, I forgot what it was, it might have been in Corinthians somewhere. It was saying about equalizing, it wasn't about individuals. So if you got, like, say for instance now, you go to your local Kingdom Hall, there's going to be somebody rich in that Kingdom Hall, somebody poor. What it was saying is that rich guy should give some of his money to the poor guy, so it's everybody's on equal footing. It wasn't about making a Kingdom Hall have a better bank balance than the other ones, or equalizing all their bank balances. It was about individuals, and it's about feeding the poor, looking after the poor, you know, and that's what we're all about. Jesus taught that. He didn't teach about like the Pharisees. You know, even that widow with the 2 coins, that wasn't on about if you're poor, you've still got to donate. That's what Watchtower says. I mean, what's good to it? That old lady puts in 2 coins. She can't even eat now. Whereas that Pharisee puts in, I don't know, thousands and thousands of dollars compared to her, and that's his surplus. But she puts in everything. Yeah, that's just showing up the Pharisees. That's what Jesus were doing. But if that old lady puts the money in, right, she's got nothing to eat at all. So even that's not right, because she's going to be, you know, and then it says, oh, well, God will feed her. Well, why is God wanting all this money in the first place? You know, God's not going to feed her. He said that scripture they always say, well, God feeds the birds. The birds are going extinct right now. They're starving. You know, somebody says, oh, look at, well, all the birds are healthy over there. I says, mate, they're the ones that are survival of the fittest. The ones that you're not seeing are dead and been eaten by something else or died of disease. And not all of them are going extinct anyway. So God's not even feeding the birds. You know, so like, sorry, I'm really passionate about this.
Yeah.
But, it's just, you can see the hypocrisy, and what they do is religion. They use people to donate to it. It's a money-making scam ultimately, and even the call down the Catholic Church stuff, but even like British Red Cross, I mean, they do better than the Watchtower, and that's supposed to be a devil, you know, the devil's organisation. But
Red Cross does a lot of good.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I can talk all night, but I'm gonna have to let somebody have join in. So.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, you know, when they do that, because you know, they tell everybody to give, and unfortunately, they don't. You know, Watchtower doesn't give back. They're not going to help you if you're poor. If somebody would have called, if somebody would have called Watchtower right now and say, "Hey, I need insulin. I'm a diabetic. And I need my insulin," they won't help you.
Yes. No. They say the interesting thing is, Stephen Lett were asking the members of the congregation to donate. You know, it takes millions of dollars to run the facilities and all that, and we're at a shortfall. Donate. And if you go to the elders, like you said, sir, that was absolutely the perfect point. You ring the branch office up and say, look, I'm struggling. They'll say, pray to God. Pray to God. And then when they ask for money, they ask it from you. So why don't they miss out the middleman? And why don't Stephen Lett pray to God instead of asking us?
Yeah, they ask everybody else for money. They ask the poor for money. Yeah.
Exactly. And also,
I'm rich. I want your money, poor man. You know, hey, give me your money. Yeah. Basically, they're thugs. They're just thugs, is what they are.
And the best thing they did is, like, when you're looking about this equalization of congregations, in Africa, they were saying that obviously this congregation not got enough money to build their own building, so let's England and America and all these wealthy countries give them their extra money from their kingdom halls. But they said they were going to totally wipe out their mortgage, and Stephen like just said, all we expect is you donate what you can into that contribution box every month, and that's for the rest of their life though. So they're getting their money back anyway.
Yeah. But not only that,
so
those people in Africa, whoever they are, some of them are starving.
Exactly. They're the old widows that are putting all the coins in, thinking God's going to feed them. You know, that doesn't work that way. It can't even help Felicity Sneesby, and she were dedicating 70 hours a month. I mean, if it's not going to help Felicity Sneesby, innocent, you know, sinless. Well, she's not sin. Obviously, we're born into sin because of death, but she hadn't committed one sin. She wasn't old enough, you know, to do anything really serious, and she was doing 70 hours a month. She was doing all the Watchtower, you know, more than I were, and yet God didn't help her. Neither did the Watchtower. It was the worldly people, non-believers. It could have been Hindus. It could have been some other Christian from another minority. It could have been a devil worshipper. You know, they all donated. You can see them all. Go on the GoFundMe page. Let's just these be $290,000 they got.
Well, the world helped her, but yeah, you can actually say God helped her through those other people. But
yes.
not
you could say that. So, yes, you could say that. Now, that's the Watchtower thing as well. If anything good happens, they always equate it to God, don't they? That's the other thing. Like I said, if I were in hospital, I survived it. It's God, you know? And that's the other thing about, you can equate anything to God, you know? That's positive, though. So that's another subject, though. So go ahead, guys.
Well,
I'll let somebody else have a go, because I've really enjoyed it, chatting, and I'm glad I contributed to the conversation.
well, it's a real example of a true give and take situation. Watchtowerites are seen by the Watchtower guys in charge as basically walking ATM machines and indentured slaves for their whole life. And that's, to me, the long and short of it. Anybody want to comment? Star 6?
Yeah, hello, Anne-Marie.
Hi, how are you?
Not too bad. How you doing? Yeah, Ken from Michigan here, so forth. I was listening to the program with interest and everything like that, and commenting first on the topical stuff, and then I got a couple more here for you. I think people like myself that weren't JWs, but were very friendly to them, were also affected, you know, by them dramatically and so forth, like myself and everything like that. I was really led down the stray. I can't give the entire story now. It's a story for another time, but because of the fact that I got involved with them and I try to implement some of their beliefs, that caused me a lot of problems until I woke up. But fortunately, after I woke up a little bit and I started seeing the light getting brighter and brighter, I found out what they were and so forth. And so they're a total and absolute fraud and all that. Like, yeah, we just got through talking about their true colors and all that. They don't help anybody. They are a Robin Hood in reverse. They want to rob from the poor and then give to the rich. They're rich friends, of course, the Watchtower Society. And it's just, you know, it's just like that continually all the time and so forth. And then they turn around and they misrepresent Christianity's orthodox belief on everything, and they read stuff out of context, like the stuff on the poor people. They will take and they will open up the Roman church writings there, and they'll say, look, it says right here, the poor is always going to be with you. So yeah, there's always going to be poor people. Slam it shut. But no, that's not what it says. When you read the context, and it takes you way back to the Jewish Torah there. It says that there should not be any poor amongst you, and you need to help the poor and get them back on their feet again, and so forth. Well, that's and everything like that, because I had that many years ago
somebody, asked me about that and all that. I says, I'll do research on it. I'll pull out everything that I said that I'll pull out everything there is on it and so forth. And okay, my third point I want to make out here, and so forth, is recently there were some earthquakes in New Jersey and so forth, and you just watch. The Watchtower's not going to let that go to waste. They're going to be capitalizing on it. I don't know exactly how they're going to go about it yet, but yeah, they're going to go about it and so forth. So yeah, they're really double talking and double standard. They're really a evil, wicked organization through and through, a tyrannical, ecclesiastical dictatorship, to say the least.
To say the least, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, Watchtower
They're a version of North Korea in our country.
Yep, exactly. Their policies, like I brought out a few times too, their policies are socialist in nature, through and through. So yeah, they're I'll go for that. The North Korea of the U.S. of the U.S. Yeah, is in the Watchtower Society. So I appreciate that comment very much. So.
Yep.
Watchtower has never been known to allow any tragedy, catastrophe, murder, storm, flood, earthquake, or anything political causing upheaval to the masses to ever go to waste. They always use it for propaganda to uphold themselves as the answer to all your problems.
Well, I'll tell you what, it wasn't the answer to all my problems. I'm not going to prolong this too much, but when I got involved with them, everything started getting worse and worse and worse. It didn't improve at all until I drew the line and said, whatever happens, happens. But when I was involved with the Watchtower, things did not improve. They seemed to improve when I first met them and so forth, and I seemed to be somewhat elated and all that. But as time went on and so forth, it just kept right on getting worse and worse. It didn't get any better. And as far as I'm concerned, if you was to have any kind of religion that's positive, I don't care which religion it is, because I am primarily, come on 6 screens here, as an advocate for the First Amendment in victims of the violation of the First Amendment, etc., victims in general. So I don't get involved in religious issues and so forth. But my opinion is that if you join a religion and you practice religion, it ought to make improvements in your life. It shouldn't make you more miserable as time goes on.
That's a point well made, my brother Ken. Yeah. Absolutely. And what you said, I looked back and as you commented, I looked back and said, oh my God, it's exactly the way it was for my mother. When she got into the organization, she got sucked into the Watchtower as a very lonely, no car, no money, no husband, a divorcee with 3 tiny children. She got sucked in, but we remember she didn't sing anymore. She wasn't happy anymore. She didn't laugh and play with us like she used to. Every Christmas and every birthday, everything was taken away from us. Now it was a drudgery of serving this God Jehovah who was going to kill everybody who wasn't a faithful, approved member of the Watchtower. And that's how we were brought up, because my mom was programmed by the programming to program her children to believe in the Watchtower programming. It's a sick, twisted, tyrannical dictatorship, a mind control cult in the worst and highest order, because they smile and they look so holy and good and they look like they really truly want to serve God, and they're just such fakers. And the Bible warns us that even the Satan, the devil, doesn't he portray himself as an angel of light? Don't his ministers portray themselves as an angels of light? Why then are we surprised that these smooth-talking, spiritual-appearing men are servants of, in my mind, of Satan himself? Because they can't possibly be gods anything. Because what 2 Corinthians 3:17 says that where the Spirit of Jehovah is, there is freedom. And that's one thing all Jehovah's Witnesses know they don't have. Nobody has any freedom. You're not even free to have a frown when a brother is talking to you and you're supposed to agree with them. You're supposed to smile and say, oh, yes, thank you for that counsel. Thank you for your encouragement. Oh, yes, brother, I'll sure go and make sure I work on that. I'll really pray about that. You are not even allowed the freedom to furrow your eyebrows and say, you know, brother, I don't feel comfortable with you trying to control me. You will be hauled in the back room. I bet you money you'll be disfellowshipped by next week.
Yeah, I don't think the Watchtower Society is even capable of transforming themselves into a minister of righteousness or an angel of light. I think that they're capable of transforming themselves into a destructive, satanic King Kong monster, to say the least.
Yep.
I like that. King
I mean,
Kong
where does
monster.
it say? I like for the Watchtower to show me, where does it say in the Bible that you have to be a part of their organization? And where does it say in the Bible that in order to be saved, you have to recognize God as a part of their organization? It doesn't say it anywhere. No.
Thank you very much. I agree with that. It doesn't say that anywhere. So, yeah, Watchtower Society, if you're listening, would you kind of explain that to us? And I have asked them that question several times before. They call in and explain that to us. They never have so far, and they probably never will. Because, yeah, it doesn't say that anyplace. Because religion starts at home. It starts with the individual. Then it goes on from there. It doesn't start with a Watchtower Society.
No. And just like the Mormons and the Catholics and the Seventh-day Adventists, they all claim they're the one true religion. And I would love to get a Jehovah's Witness, a Catholic, a Mormon, and a Seventh-day Adventist all in the same room together, all of them. I say, okay, which one of you is the true religion? And they're all going to speak up and say, I am. I'll say, okay, hold on a minute. You all say you're the true religion. Now, there can't be more than one true religion. That's the only one. I say, well, you JW say you're the true religion, but how do you know that the Mormons aren't? How do you know that the Catholics aren't? How do you know? I mean, just because they say doesn't make it true. They
well,
just say
I don't know.
True.
My opinion is, if somebody comes up with that statement, my opinion is prove it. Show me. Because I've moved to the show me state. I don't mean Missouri, but I mean I've moved to the literal show me state. Anytime somebody makes a statement like that, prove it to me, show me.
I actually believe there's a true faith, not so much a true religion. Religion, man invented religion to begin with. I mean, that's why we have different denominations, because people believe differently. But to say that either one of those is the one and only true one that God is working with, that's not true, because God works with everybody. He doesn't say you need to be a part of this organization or else I won't work with you at all. He doesn't say that. Jesus worked with people that weren't even religious people. He healed people that weren't even religious. Look at the man who was sick for 38 years. He went up and healed him, I mean, that guy, I don't know if he ever went to church or anything, but God healed him, without any questioning. And Jesus didn't say, well, are you a part of my organization? Did you join my organization? Because if you didn't, I can't heal you. Now, Watchtower's full of it.
We know.
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that the truth?
And if I can say, without being totally nasty here, I believe Watchtower is Satan's excrement.
Oh, absolutely.
Sounds right up to me.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
Well, I always like.
Well, I guess you're going to find after all what the people have been going through here at Six Screens Network and all that, and especially the ex-witnesses, they can't say enough against them, and with good reason too.
You know, if I could make a little comment, the Watchtower loves to claim their authority over their members by pointing to Matthew 24:45 through 47, where Jesus is giving the parable. But of course, they don't really pay attention to the fact that he's just giving an example of trusting the slave. Says, who really is the faithful and discreet slave? And as Brother Jackson said in the Australian Royal Commission, he said, well, Jehovah God did say that there would be a faithful slave, a group of men that had the authority or whatever responsibility. But you know what I noticed when I read Matthew 24:45 through 47? My eye automatically went down to verse 48, where Jesus then identifies the faithful and discreet slave as actually being an evil slave. Because right after he's talking about who really is that faithful and discreet slave who is watching over his master's household while the master is away, blah, blah, they never get down to verse 48 where Jesus says, but if ever that evil slave should say to himself, my master is delaying, and should start drinking and abusing and beating his fellow slaves, and is that not what Watchtower does to their trusting members? Exactly. In their own New World Translation. And some people say, oh, it's another slave. Well, Jesus alluded to maybe an evil slave. No. Read it again. It says, however, or but if that evil slave should do this. No, he's talking about the same slave. So when Watchtower is claiming to be the faithful and discreet slave that Jesus is talking about at Matthew 24:45 through 47, they are, without knowing it, or maybe they think they're going to get away with it, they are literally also identifying themselves as not being a faithful and discreet slave at all, but being exactly what Jesus called them, the evil slave who beats his fellow slaves. Is that not what Watchtower elders and everyone else metaphorically do? Thank you for letting me say that.
Yeah, that is that. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, it just blows me away. They will use what serves their agenda and either ignore or twist what doesn't serve their agenda. That it is so clear, but if ever that evil slave, it doesn't talk about another slave. So literally, Watchtower, by calling themselves the faithful and discreet slave of Matthew 24:45, they are literally also is identifying themselves as being the evil slave. The water doesn't draw itself. It has to go in the bucket. You can't have one without the other. And little by little, it is coming out. Because I think, isn't it Luke? Oh, God, I'm so bad at this. Is it Luke 8:17? Or 17:8 or whatever, where it says, for there is nothing hidden that will not become manifest, nor anything carefully concealed that will not become known and not come out in the open, or never become known and not come out in the open. There are promises, and how many times did we hear from the platform, either at the assembly or at the meeting, that God is not one to be mocked. For whatever one is sowing, this he will also reap. Watchtower and the leaders of Watchtower have been consistently lying, using God's word and twisting it and changing it and manipulating it, using God's word for their own agenda. Who in the world has the guts to blaspheme against God like that? And it is Luke 8:17 in the New World Translation, for there is nothing hidden that will not become manifest, nor anything carefully concealed that will never become known and not come out in the open. And is this not what we have been seeing, last 10 years or so, especially with the Royal Commission? Now they're crying and whining and moaning and groaning and crying, oh, persecution, just like the bullies they are, because Norway won't give them their grant anymore.
No.
That's iffy.
Yep, all they care about is their money and themselves. They don't care about the witnesses. The average Jehovah's Witness, they don't care about them. I mean, like I said earlier, you can be starving or you can be a diabetic needing insulin. They're not going to care. They don't. They don't care as long as you line their pockets, as long as you give them that little bit of money. Or if you're a child, give them your ice cream money. Or if you're dead, give them your house, give them your bank accounts, give them whatever else that you got left.
Oh, Pixie could tell you about that one. I'd love to hear her tell how those vultures were trying to get her mother to sign over her property. Shoot, I never get tired of hearing that. Ooh, her mother told them off.
I would have loved to hear that. I would have loved to have heard that.
Well, I don't know if Pixie's on, but boy, the way she tells it, I feel like, yeah, that lady told them off good. I don't know how old Pixie's mom was, but I get the feeling that she was quite old. And these vultures were basically trying to sweet talk her into signing away her property to Watchtower. And I think Pixie said her mother says, get away from me. Oh, God, I can never remember. Pixie says it so well. Something about workers of iniquity or something. I'm very bad at it.
Yeah, that's what it says in the Bible, yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Get away, what Jesus said, depart from me, you workers of iniquity or whatever. Because when he was speaking to the goats and the sheep, when he got to the goats, that's what he said, I think.
Well, the way Pixie tells it, I mean, her mother was still a spunky, smart, don't think I'm that stupid, and she told them off. And I'm so grateful she did.
But you know what, though? And I just thought of this. All right.
What's that?
Let's just say, I'll use your mom, for example. I mean, I don't know your mom or nothing, but let's just use her, for example. Okay, say your mom died today, okay? And Watchtower comes and tries to take your mom's stuff. Doesn't Watchtower understand that when someone dies, that the money that was in the family should stay with the family and the property should be sold so that the money could go to the rest of the family and stuff?
I was standing right there, brother.
Why does Watchtower think they can go in and take just because someone died?
Con men. Because they're con men and con women and criminals. The woman came to have a Bible study with me. My mother was baptized in 1936.
Yeah.
My family has Charles Russell's autograph in a Bible.
Oh, wow.
That's how far back we go. She wins my mother's trust, and my mother says to me, my mother died at 102, so she was about 101. A beautiful, delicate lady, true beauty. But by then she had lost most of her vision and some of her hearing, and she's very delicate in her chair. And the Bible study so-called sister says, well, you want to give your house. I'm standing right there, the heir to the property, in a little tiny cottage. It's not a big place. We don't even have a car.
Yeah.
And she says, sister, you want to give your property to the governing body, don't you? They're Christ's brothers. And my mother says, no, they're not. Christ's brother was James. In her Bible. And then she says, oh, but the Watchtower could use this property. Are you sure you don't want to? Please sign it over. And my mother says, depart from me, you worker of iniquity. I knew you not. So please cuss people out with the Bible whenever possible.
Good one, Pixie. I was hoping you'd come back on.
There's another scripture in Matthew where you can cuss them out too.
When you mean when you call them offsprings of vipers, you
offsprings of vipers. There's one. There's one that says tax collectors and prostitutes will be in the kingdom before you.
Oh, wow.
It's right in there.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know how long we have. We've gone over a little bit. I want to ask, is there anybody who would like to add to what they've already said, or anyone would like to speak who has not spoken? Star Stick, go for you.
Hello, Anne Marie.
Oh, is this Connie?
Hi, honey. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I've been wondering how you guys are.
Doing great, honey. I've just been sick for a few weeks, but getting better, sweetheart. I always, Rich and I always enjoy your show and everyone's comments. I just wanted to say, just briefly in reference to the topic that was just recently discussed, I'm so grateful that Pixie's mom was sharp enough to see right through the nonsense of Watchtower, and she was able to rightfully inherit her family's cottage. And what I was going to say is, the bottom line is, Watchtower does not care about anyone's inheritance. They don't care about anyone. All they care about is just themselves. And you will hear, which we have heard in the past, there might be a family of witnesses and they have a few children and they have a home, they have some property, whatever. And then for some reason the children are grown, they leave the organization, the fellowship, whatever, DA, whatever. And then the family, the parents, or the one who's living, the mother, father, whatever, they decide to play this emotional cruelty blackmail game. Well, since you're not in the organization, we're going to take you out of the family will and we're going to give the property to Watchtower. Anyway, the point I just wanted to make is parents that do that are very cruel, very, very cruel, very unloving, very unchristian. And the thing is that they're just programmed just like Watchtower. They don't care about their children. They don't care about their heirs. And Watchtower obviously doesn't care about any of us. And until you wake up and really smell the roses, or like Rick would say, you smell the coffee, until something like this happens to you, Watchtower's going to be laughing all the way to the bank, and you're going to be crying and very angry and bitter about this. So anyway, kudos to you, Pixie. I'm so glad, honey, especially being a single woman, you've got, some financial resources behind you, and your mom and dad loved you enough to see right through the nonsense of Watchtower. So anyway, but the bottom line, Watchtower does not care. They don't care about anyone. They just want to use you, abuse you, spit you out, churn you up, and use you until there's nothing left in you, and it's all for their own personal financial gain. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Constance. Watchtower truly does feel so incredibly entitled. And I really sense that they have absolutely no conscience, no shame, no regret for what they do. And I have a beautiful doctor who's been very good for me, and he's a specialist. And he remarked to me a while back that one of his patients was so ill and bedridden she couldn't get to come see him in the office, and that he had been going to see her. And he said the last few times, because she was looking like she was going to die, he said that there are these two women, he said, and he looked at me and he goes, Anne Marie, I didn't know she was a Jehovah's Witness, and I have never shared with him anything about my past. And I said, what? She's a Jehovah's Witness? He said, yeah. He said, those two ladies, they just hover around her and they're always there, and they never seem to let me be alone with my patient, and I'm starting to feel very uncomfortable. He said they're like vultures. They keep trying to tell her that she should sign over her property, and I go, don't tell me. What area is it? And he told me the area, and I said, shall she have a beautiful large home? He said, oh yes, and the property, I forgot how many acres of prime, pristine property this old woman has, and she got it from her husband, who got it from his family. So it is worth millions. And I said, I have to tell you about what Jehovah's Witnesses are really all about. And I told him that they are vultures. And I said, please, can I go with you the next time? And he just seemed real nervous, like, what do I do? He said, just tell me, what do I do? So I told him. And you know what? When I finally heard the last from my doctor about this woman, I asked about her a few months later. He said, oh, she's so much better now. She's not dying anymore. She got rid of those vultures. She rented her little cottage on her property to a really nice couple who are slowly going to buy her property. They make payments. In the meantime, they're taking care of everything. They bought a tractor. They taught her how to drive it. And now my patient is zipping around her property on this tractor, having the time of her life.
Isn't that wonderful, Anne Marie? That is great. That is great. And, you know, Annie, we remember the story with Jay. Remember back there in New York?
Oh, yes.
With his father. And now his father was down in San Diego, and he trusted this elder as far as being the durable power of attorney for health care and I think finances as well. Yeah, definitely. And so he trusted this elder, and they were from New York. Somehow he got down to San Diego. I think it was second marriage or something. And boy, Jay went ballistic on that. And the thing is, you know, Jay's father had given the home to this elder, and the elder had put Jay's father in a nursing home. And once everything was signed, sealed, and the, you know, like the expression goes, the signature was dry, the ink was dry, that elder had absolutely nothing to do with Jay's father. And Jay's father was a diabetic, and if I'm not mistaken, he was either a unilateral amputee or he was a bilateral amputee. In other words, he either had one or both legs amputated. I thought Jay had said, you know, both legs were amputated. Anyway, this elder took the home, put him in a nursing home, Jay's father. And after that, he got what he wanted. He got the money, but he certainly didn't go by and check on Jay's father. And Jay, I had just started listening to the show. This was around October of 2015, and boy, Jay was just, you know, bleeding from inside out with regards to the corruption of the elders in Watchtower.
Okay, whoever's doing that. Listen, you know what Jay, I remember, said too about his father is that his father was very loyal to Watchtower, and even though he was very disabled, he would go out almost every single day collecting bottles and cans and taking them to the recycle to get money to give to Watchtower. And that's
right, Andy. Wow, what a great memory you have. Yep. And then look at how they treated him at the end, right? I mean, if that doesn't wake you up, I don't know what does. You know, I hope people learn lessons of other people. Thank you, Anne Marie.
Thank you, Constance. Someone else waiting to.
Hi, Anne Marie.
Yeah,
Anne Marie.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Stephen. First of all, I just want to say hello. Anne Marie, about 2 or 3 programs ago, I don't know if you remember this or not, you were on the topic of where would the witnesses be without the elders. And it was you, I, and Rick. We were kind of talking about that. Do you remember that?
I do.
And I said kind of towards the end of the program before we switched, I said that I think there would have been a lot more Jehovah's Witnesses without the elders, because so many people have left or been kicked out because of these abusive elders. Now you can see how this has really come full circle. Now Watchtower has lost so many people. Now they're begging people to come back. You remember that last update where they were going to go out and contact this fellowship witnesses and invite them to the memorial, and then also kind of change the way they got this fellowship people so quickly and so easily. And that has to be done because that's exactly what they did. They were so abusive. If you do one thing wrong, or they don't like you, or whatever, boom, out you go. And I was thinking about this. This is something that was in one of not in Crises of Conscience, but in the other book. And he reminded me of how many hours we would spend out in ministry trying to bring people in. But then once you got in, you never received any help. and they disfellowship you in a heartbeat. And I've always wondered, why do you spend so much time trying to bring a person in and studying with them 2 books, yada, yada, yada. And then you'll kick them out in a heartbeat for really little or no reason. But you can really see now, after decades of them doing that, all the way back even to Ray Francis' time, they've been doing that. Now they're not getting people. And they're not ever going to get people the way that they got them. That's over with. So now they want to do everything they can to not disfellowship people, try to go get the ones that they've already disfellowship. But I just hope that people don't respond to that and come back. But I just had to bring that up because when you asked that question stayed in my brain all the way up to the present. When I heard that latest update about going after disfellowship people and changing the policy, I said, man, that question was so right on time. I just wanted to tell you that.
Well, Stephen, I really want to thank you. You know, I always thought it was kind of strange that the Watchtower describes the elders as loving shepherds keeping watch over your souls, and that we should not grieve them if they're working so hard. But yet, behind closed doors, they're not loving shepherds. They're the Judicial Committee, and they will tear you a new one and call you wicked, you're an apostate, and you're a disgrace, and you're disfellowshipped, and you're just thrown away like last year's garbage. And it's like incongruous. How can you be a loving shepherd and be a horrible judicial judge who throws people away? No forgiveness,
think
no
about
mercy.
this, Marie. Think about this. What do they say when you're disfellowshipped? And I don't know if you were ever told that or anybody that you know, but when you get disfellowship, they will tell you, we have handed you over to Satan. I was told that. And so when I heard that update from whoever, whatever governing body member it was, and I thought to myself, oh, well, do you guys now have the power to go and wrestle free those disfellowship ones that you handed over to Satan? Do you now have the power to do that? I was really chuckling at myself. I said, what a joke this organization is.
Well, good.
But we were told that. We were told we were handed over to Satan.
That's why I call them the Gestapo enforcers. Their job is to sit on your neck, bully you, threaten you, control you, punish you, judge you, just drag you all through hell, and you're supposed to humbly hang your head and tell them how sorry you are because you're a big bad sinner. Oh, wait a minute. Do we have to be sorry? I forgot. Didn't Jesus die to pay for our sins?
Right.
What was
and
I
didn't
thinking?
Jesus also say in that illustration of the shepherd, remember he says about the good shepherd that he's got 100 sheep. One of those sheep strays away. The good shepherd leaves the 99 to go after the one, and of course, when he gets the one, he rejoices. Now, what do the elders do? Every elder body that I've ever known, in any congregation, whether it was me or friends or acquaintances of mine, if they ever had spiritual difficulty, if they ever had problems, the elders never came to look for them, if you will, sought them out, tried to give them spiritual comfort. No. They always would leave the one and just care for the 99. They do exactly the opposite of what Jesus said to do in that illustration. And I've always noticed that. And I remember there was somebody that was disposed of in the last Kingdom Hall that I attended. And I had a family member asking elders, does anybody go? And now I already knew the answer to this question. They don't do that. But this family member asked, does anybody go and inquire about this person and see how he is, where he is, and what? Nope. The answer was no. All they could say was, well, I think brother so-and-so might have a couple of years ago called him once, but that's about it. And then they completely changed the subject and started talking about something else. They are completely, really disinterested in people. If you're not in that organization doing 100% of what they want you to be doing, you don't matter. And since you don't matter, they're not going to come out there and look for you. They don't do things the way Jesus said to do, and that's why they're losing people.
And not only that, but think about this. How does it that they have the right to decide who is forgiven and who's not? Or how do they decide that whether you're repentant or not. I mean, I've watched some judicial committee. I've watched some of those judicial committee meetings, and they're terrible. I mean, they're just out to harm you is what they're doing, because they don't forgive people.
Well, they'll tell you,
judge you.
They'll tell you that you're repentant when you change your attitude, when you change your heart condition. Then they'll turn around and say, "Oh, but we can't read hearts." Because I remember being disfellowship one of the 2 times that I was disfellowship, and I put my reinstatement letter in within about 3 months. You know, I was a kid, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we wouldn't even think about letting you back in so soon." And I said, "Well, why not?" I'm not doing anything wrong. I study. I on my knees. Well, what's your heart condition? I said, "Well, how can you tell your heart condition?" So finally they said, well, we have to be able to reach our heart condition. And then later in the conversation they say, "Well, we can't read hearts." I said, "Well, then how do you know that my heart condition doesn't allow me to be reinstated?" And they just stood there looking at me, and they was just full of anger because I had pointed out the obvious retardation in their thought process. You're saying a person is not repentant because of their heart condition, and then you say you can't read hearts.
If you've noticed, every time Jesus healed somebody in the Bible, he never did say, "Do you have faith? Do you have," he just said, "Your sins are forgiven." He didn't ask them anything on that. He just forgave them. Just boom. Right then and there, instant, less than a second, he forgave them.
Mm-hmm.
But Watchtower people,
and then the other thing about it, all the people that have been disfellowshipped, many of them have written to the society. I know one. He was disfellowshipped for 18 years. These elders had no plan on ever reinstating him. And I heard another body of elders say on another case that if it was up to them, this particular person would never be reinstated. And that's why I've always wondered whether Jehovah's Witnesses really know how these elders are. These elders can be some mean, nasty, revengeful people. And they'll sit there and tell you all about God and love and forgiveness. But when it comes to them, no, they don't exercise that. You cross the line and you're going to pay for the rest of your life as far as I'm concerned. And they would write to society, and society would do nothing about it. Society, there is no Supreme Court that you can go to if you feel like you've been mistreated in this organization. So, like, there's a Supreme Court where you can go and take your case and say, "These brothers disfellowshipped me for this, and I didn't do that." Witnesses came to my aid and said I didn't do it. And disfellowshipped me. They don't have that. It's a very disorganized organization if you really want to look at it. But bottom line, instead of it being based upon love and having love, governance principles, governance, it's very rule-based. And because of that, this is why they now need to go and try to not disfellowship people so easily and try to, recover some of the ones that they've disfellowshipped. But to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to work. I certainly hope it doesn't work.
You know where they get you? They say, if you show them the scripture, it says if your brother sins against you 7 times a day, you must forgive him. But what they come at you with is, well, you're not sinning against the brother, you're sinning against the congregation. And yet, there is no scripture stating that at all.
That's correct. And here's the hypocrisy of it. If you're an elder, and this is in the Elder's Handbook, anybody can go get a PDF online and read it. If you're an elder, you could be committing any kind of sin. You could be committing adultery, fornication, stealing, lying, whatever it is. And if nobody finds out for years, you can then pull your closest elders. This is why elders always form alliances with each other in case you're going to need each other for something. And then you can go to your buddies who are elders and say, "Hey, look, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. And, this happened 3 years ago. I slept with some person. Well, who else knows about this? Oh, nobody else knows. It was somebody from my job. Nobody else knows." And you'll be forgiven on the spot. Your wife, if you're married, will never be told. Even if she goes to them, they will send her right back to you. They'll never be told. You'll continue to serve as an elder. And all the while, you've been sitting in and sharing committee meetings, disfellowshipping people who have done way less than you. Now go make sense of that. And that's in their handbook. If anybody wants to challenge me, go get the handbook and read it. It's right there in black and white.
I've heard that. I've heard that read out of the handbook myself on videos that I've watched, and yeah, they can get away with sin. Well, you know, so that's why they don't want people to read that book, because there's double standards in that book.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're getting graded from a book that you don't know anything about. You don't know the ins and you don't know the outs. That's why I've always said I was brought into the organization when I was 3 years of age. I was what we call a born again almost.
Hey, Stefan, this is Stefan. Stefan, can you hear me? This is Rick at the Six Screens control panel. Can you come closer?
Sure.
Can you come closer to your phone or turn up your volume?
Oh, sure.
In other words, yeah, that would help a lot. I mean, we can hear you, but we want to hear you a little better. So come closer to your phone. Yep.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, I was done. I was just saying that over the years that I was a witness, I had a lot of friends, and I would hear all the different stories that they went through, or people from their congregations, because we'd all get together and talk, and there was just always so many double standards. If your family had money, you could get away with murder. If your dad was an elder, you got away with murder. If you were a single parent, a child of a single parent, oh my God, they would rip you a new one for every little thing, because you had no recourse. You had to do what those elders, told you to do. So I'm just glad that hopefully people are really starting to see what this organization is really about. They're obviously leaving. No new ones are coming in. And so hopefully this just kind of spells the gradual end for this group.
If I could jump in one moment, please. I need to ask our brother Rick how we're doing on time. We've gone over half an hour into his show. My brother Rick, are you there?
I'm here, Anne-Marie. We got to do 5 more minutes, and then we have to cut it to the news. Yeah, because we got other programs backed up tonight too. So let's do 5 minutes and go ahead and wrap it up with another caller or two, and then we'll end it in 5 minutes and go to JW World News.
Well, thank you so much, my brother. If you guys don't mind, I would like to make a couple comments. I might want to bring up the subject, how are you still touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower? Maybe next show 2 weeks from now. But I did want to comment, I've been on the XJW subreddit, and of yesterday, unless I made a mistake, it appears that there are, of yesterday, 98.7 thousand members on the XJW subreddit. And just a few weeks ago, it was like 95,000. So we are definitely growing. And there are more and more who are saying there are way more PMOs that are not being on subreddit, but they're kind of giving the thumbs up and giving information to the ones who are posting on the XJW subreddit. So as Rick has been saying, they are not just bleeding members, they are hemorrhaging members. And Mike and Kim on YouTube are bringing it out as well. And more stories are coming out, and more people are just like walking out like they've been in a war. One person put it, they said that they look like they have hollow souls and hollow eyes because they've just had the life literally sucked out of them from Watchtower. Now they're old. They have no education, no money, don't know what to do, where they're going to go, bodies falling apart, and Watchtower doesn't give a rat's behind in hell. Anyone a comment? We have maybe...
Yeah, Anne-Marie?
Go ahead. Make it quick.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a minute here. I forgot to mention, I didn't get a hold of Jay lately, the guy who used to have this program, but I'm going to keep on trying. The last couple of weeks, I haven't had a chance to get him. I tried to get him today, but I couldn't get through. So, but the last time I talked to him, he was still holding his own and so forth. And
thank you.
So for me, this is going to be it with the program tonight. So I'd like to say good night to everybody on the program, and God bless and be with you. And we'll see you in 2 weeks, hopefully on the program again. And I don't know if there's time for any more callers or not, but hit *6 if you want to make the final call.
Thank you, Ken, very, very much. I want to thank everyone who called in. Rick, for a start. I want to thank King of the Dots, Chewy, Donald from Texas, Pixie, Ace Graham from the UK, I believe, or somewhere around there in the England land. I want to thank Ken, of course, and of course Constance, and our girl Pixie, Stephen, and Larry John Wayne. I want to thank you all for another wonderful Saturday at 6 p.m. on the show Touched by the Tentacles. Again, today is Saturday, April 6, 2024. We need to go to Rick Theron and AW World News. Rick?
Well, thank you, Anne-Marie. Thank you very much. Good program, boy. Lots of people calling in, lots of people listening in. We are seeing, Reddit, the subreddit that you're talking about. Yes, 98,000 people. Of course, some of those now, you have to remember, they're double accounts and triple accounts, but nonetheless, it's a lot of people on Reddit. And the reason is because people are leaving the Watchtower. They're leaving in droves. Like never before. There's never been this many people leaving the Watchtower, friends. So that's why not only Reddit, but the 6 screens and a lot of the YouTubers as well are seeing so many new people coming into their channel. So we thank you very much, Anne-Marie. Keep up the good work. We're going to go to JW World News. We'll be back with Touch by the Tentacles of the Watchtower in 2 weeks. Appreciate it all, friends. Stay with us, though. Don't go anywhere. Stay on this channel. We'll be right back.